I'm Steve Novotney. It is Steve Novotney Lives on Lead News.
With it, which changed the atmosphere, and
I swear I did not touch that. Go ahead. Sorry, Doug.
No, that's all right. and yeah, you did feel like you were still getting away with something when you took a cooler in. And at that time, at the end of the last couple of years, you started seeing cooler inspections where they'd tear everything out of your cooler to make sure you didn't have anything whiskey underneath the bottom of it. The people that started coming in a younger generation wasn't as respectful as their neighbors on the tarps beside them. And the atmosphere did kind of change, which led people to start dropping away from the event, as well as the way they treated local people that had houses around and parking and that kind of things. So, yeah, I mean, you did feel like you were getting away with stuff, but you did start to see restrictions and changes. And I haven't not been to Blame It On My Roots yet. I was out of town last year or the year before last, so we'll have to see what that's like this year probably.
Yeah, I'm actually planning on going. I really, I was going last year. The first year, because, well, to be honest with you, we rescheduled ourselves for that third weekend once, Live Nation came out and said we're not doing it. Yeah. So Michelle and I always kept that weekend open. So, we were like, okay, we'll just go down to Summersville. And everything was booked and all that, so we didn't go to the first year. And I hated that. We covered it. I covered it a ton. You know that.
Yeah.
And I wrote about it. But what have you done? My face is huge. Hi, everybody.
Zoom in, huh? But no, I think the High Valley definitely needs an outdoor festival. And if Live Nation's saying they're not making enough money on it to pull the bigger venues, then I commend the people that are trying to move forward with it. I mean, everybody benefits from an event going on, just like the draw of the local heritage report. I mean, those draws create times for people to go to dinner at local restaurants, parking, the purchase of beverages and foods down there at the Heritage Port all bring in a lot of money to the local area, as well as hotel stays.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice out. I don't have a turtleneck on. First time since November, Doug. First time since November.
It's unusual. He came out of his shell.
Who, me? Yeah,
with turtle's head poked all the way out.
Yeah, I've got this Dino neck. Do you know what I mean by that? Dino, the pet little dinosaur on the Flintstones?
I guess I do now. Yeah.
That was one of the nicknames I had on my college baseball team because of how long my neck was. Yeah, there was a photo in the paper that, you could see my Adam's apple more than pretty much my nose, and so Dino it was. So, if you have a long neck, you got to keep it warm, right, man?
So you let everybody see Steve on Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, is he nuts?
He made it happen. You got to thank him at least.
I did. I didn't touch anything, Eric.
I bet you when you started the program, Facebook kind of took over your video and microphone settings. And when it did that, it yanked it out of there. We'll have to make sure that there's a way to disable it permanently so that it can't access those.
All right, bro. All right. Thank you.
Have a good show.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let me see if it goes off. Let me see. The big test. Now it doesn't go off at all. I tell you. Oh, camera 2.
I had to re-add it.
We'll talk later. Yeah. Yep. I'm looking forward to it. Miranda Lampert's pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean, in today's market, I know there's been a transition between artists coming into venues at a discounted rate in order to sell albums. And with people just pulling music off the internet, that took a lot of the venues of country music and, pop culture music and rock and roll from even being able to go out and do a big show, knowing that they were going to get generated by album sales for future. So that changed a lot. I know the price of having an artist come in jumped considerably, unless people are trying to make a name for themselves and they want to get their music and band out there.
Yeah, well, and when Chris Dutton, and it's something we'll talk about. He had to announce, hey, we can't let you have coolers in. He got taken last year. He had everything set. everything rented, the lineup all completed. Now
Signed contracts. With
signed
artists,
contracts. Yeah, so
that's not cheap.
let's just say they didn't make any money last year.
Right.
So and then the realities come into play. If you think about it. I'm not going to have a problem buying my beer out there. I'm truly not. I mean, 6, 12 beers for me and Michelle, that's fine. That's fine. And, we'll find out how much Chris is going to charge, ladies and gentlemen, too, as far as how much, how much it'll be per beer. And, that'll let us all pretty much make our decision. But, I know Michelle and Michael will be there. My daughter wants to go. We've got some other friends that want to go. So, I even talked to Michelle. I said, you want to go camping? Let's start looking now for a camper. Yeah. Because we'll have to have a camper. I've got a 3-room mansion tent. Not good enough.
Tents are great until the sun hits them in the morning in the summertime.
Big time.
And then it doesn't matter how you feel you are getting up at that time when that sun starts to become an oven.
Yeah, and that's exactly why, Doug, I camp in the fall.
Yeah.
Because I've camped in the middle of summer, up at Raccoon Creek, for Pearl Jam or Dave Matthews or Fish or a show like that. And you're exactly right. 6:30, that sun starts hitting you. It's an alarm clock you don't like.
Yeah, especially if you stayed up by the fire drinking a couple beers with your friends. That sun coming up at 6 o'clock and warming that tent by 6:45, it gets to be annoying sometimes.
Yes, it does.
It'll make that second night an early bed night.
Yes, it will. All right, Doug Giffin is the president of the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 141 here, the office out near where the Bella Via used to be. Now, is it still a used car lot? The old Bella Via?
Yes. Well, and Wheeling Subaru's employees park their vehicles there when they go over to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've been lucky and fortunate. I started out not knowing a single soul in the electrician's field. Worked around some great people and learned a lot, and became friends with them, and did a ton of work with them. And I was fortunate enough that by attending my local union meetings and getting to know what we do and who we are. When the time came up for somebody to run for president, I put my name in a hat and was awarded the president's position. So. Those people that I have a lot of respect for apparently respect me a little enough to vote me as president. And for me to be in a position I am where I'm a paid organizer for the IBEW, and I go out every day and represent my members, I've taken a lot of weight on my shoulders to try to stick up for the rights of working people and my members in West Virginia. And have been saddened by what's going on in Charleston this election cycle, as well as a few other ones. When I took office, we had a lot going for the working class people in West Virginia, and the Republicans got the majority since 2014, and just keep steamrolling working class people in West Virginia. And I've got a list of bills here, Steve. I don't know that you want me to go over every one of them, but
yeah, we will. Second segment, actually.
Yeah.
First segment, I want to talk about development. But go ahead, continue your thought.
No, but what I will say is if you get a chance to take a listen and the second half and you hear what we have to say and you don't like some of this stuff that's going on, please feel free to talk to your representative. Pick up and call them on the phone. That's what they're down there for.
That's right.
And let them know, hey, we don't support this. We don't like this. Or get an email address on the computer and drop them a line saying, hey, this is how I feel about this issue. You represent me.
That's right. That's right. Now, as far as development and everything, as long as you've been on my show, one of my first questions is, how's business? How's development going here in the Upper Ohio Valley? Of course, the pandemic had a huge negative impact, and we'll talk about delays and everything, but what about right now? How many guys you got on the IBEW bench?
Okay, so our list works is if you get laid off, you come and get your name at the bottom of the list, and as jobs come in, we start calling from the top of the list. So, while you're off on unemployment, you're able to search for jobs in adjoining locals, such as Steubenville, Marietta, Parkersburg, up at the cracker plant. We've got some guys, but we've got 86 guys off right now
Really?
on our list of. We have about 287 journeyman wiremen and apprentices right now, and that number stays consistent over the whole time I've been in, that top number of how many guys we have. But yeah, it's probably the worst downturn I've seen since I've been in the local, which is 24 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, Doug, that's the highest number you've ever given me when I've asked about the bench.
Yeah, and there are a lot of times I'll give you a number of 20 or so, and those guys have been working 7-10s or 7-12s, and they want to take a month here or there and be off, and get their wits back again, back underneath of them, and be closer to their families for them a couple months, and then come right back into work or take the next job offered. But at this point, with that staggering number of 80 plus. It's going to be a long time before all those guys get out to work without some major development.
Anything on the horizon, Doug? Any promise for the future? Excuse me, future.
With this pandemic and the way it happened to hit everybody in businesses and, talking with small businesses and restaurants, a lot of times when they had electrical work to do, whether it be add a fryer, put some lights over a different table area, or reconstruct or add on to their businesses, that we would usually do that work. We do about 80, I take that back. Our new number was 95% of the work within our jurisdiction, which is 4 counties. Our contractors and our members would be out doing that work. With this pandemic, it's severely put a crunch on, development. As far as things being built, you may hear on the news once in a while a development going on, but we really haven't seen any development. Or we also check reports through the state to see future development and try to get ahead and get our contractors to bid. That stuff's very, very slow right now.
I got you. That's bad news, but hopefully, during the pandemic, you had guys up at Menards, you had guys at the Highlands Athletic Complex. Menards is open. The athletic complex is kind of a open shut thing right now because of public safety. I'm pretty sure that that'll, if it's not already back, I'm sure it's coming back.
Yeah.
West Liberty University announced today, published on Lead, that they're going to have an in-person commencement.
Yeah.
So, and I, ladies and gentlemen, before the show, I reminded Doug of the warning he gave me in January 2020. He goes, have you and your wife started stocking up? And I looked at him, I said, it's funny you said that. He goes, you've been paying attention, haven't you? And I said, of course. And he goes, well, I'm stocking up. He didn't mean toilet paper.
No. Few extra canned goods on the shelf never hurt anybody. Canned goods are good for 3 or 4 years, so I figured, hey, if you put a few more on your shelf
that's right.
Time, when you needed them, you could get them,
And they came in handy.
Yeah.
Like I told you, Michelle was like, I got you some extra soup. She didn't like the news coming out of China. And I'm like, okay, we'll keep doing that. She didn't do it with toilet paper, I promise, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, no, we didn't run out. I can't lie. But it just seems as if there's a light at that end of the tunnel. My parents are double vaccinated. Very happy about that. Michelle's aunt and uncle, Aunt Barb and Uncle Jim, they are now vaccinated. Because Michelle works in healthcare, she's vaccinated.
Yeah.
Because my daughter works in healthcare, the front lines. Literally as a respiratory therapist up in Pittsburgh, she's double vaccinated. So, I'm anxious. And, I know that there's no such thing, ladies and gentlemen, take this to the bank when I say this. There's no such thing as an extra vaccine. There's no such thing. But, every once in a while when somebody doesn't show up, I let them know, hey, that's a $5 fine.
I'm trying to turn it off, Steve. There, it's off.
What was I saying? I finally told the folks here in Ohio County, hey, if there's that situation, I'll run up. Because I'm not going to lie, my seizure disorder has me anxious. I just wasn't stepping in front of anybody else.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't do much. Unfortunately, this evening I have to go to the funeral home down in South Wheeling. to celebrate the life of a very good friend of our family. Betty G. Knuckles, I love you to death, if you can hear me in heaven. So, we're going there, and, I'll have my mask on. I had really cool masks made, man. Let me see if I have one for you. I'll find one. I had lead ones made.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm very thankful that, so far we're very successful. And it's all about producing what the other media outlets don't. Technically, and I'm serious about this, I'm not competing against anybody. I'm just, we're just doing stories that, I want to do and that you're not going to get anywhere else, especially at that level after 30 years of experience. I'm here in Wheeling, and I love my town. I love my valley. I have so many good friends, including you, Doug, and I'm thankful for that. I just making a living, doing what God allows me to do. It's really that simple to me.
And the stuff I've read from you, Steve, you do a very good job of highlighting all the news that's out there and getting the behind the story type of view that you don't get in a local paper. And sometimes you get some objective views on what the normal news is that people need to see and hear that stuff. Well,
I'm just me. One of the best things, or one of my favorite things that I get to write each week is my open letter. Because it's my version of an editorial, quite frankly. And I put my name on it. I never really thought it was a good thing to put an opinion out there with no name on it. And this past Saturday, I think I wrote my 4th or 5th open letter to Governor Justice, because I'm like, dude, you're making everybody mad in this state. I know to this day, 65-year-olds still not vaccinated, still not called, not scheduled, and he's telling everybody 50 and above.
Yeah.
Well, listen, when he said that evening, that same evening, I went on the system and I put myself in the system, because I'm going to take my turn, and I encourage everybody to do the same thing. You can do it online, or you can call and speak with somebody. I just did it online. And, when I made that call today, hey, if there's somebody who doesn't show up, I'll come. He was, Lou Varga was like, well, tell me your birth date again. And I told him, he goes, yeah, you're on the list. And I'm like, okay, you have to be registered to be able to get that call.
Right.
I can't, I got a call from a friend earlier today, Doug, who was kind of angry. I can't get a shot anywhere. Okay, well, are you registered? On what? I was like, oh, hon, as soon as I get home, I'm sending you the number. You got a call. And she took care of it, got registered, and hopefully she gets her call soon, because she's approaching her mid-60s. Dear friend of ours. And she'll get a call, before anybody in their 50s. But Justice is out there, hey, 50 and above. Hey, last week, 60 and above. He's just trying for all these national headlines.
Do you honestly feel that any state has done a good enough job getting the information out to people that aren't computer literate and finding that information in order to put their name in the system to get vaccinated?
Doug, I'm going to tell you this. I think they've tried. I really
it's up to our generation to look after the elderly generation to get them registered.
I think so.
I believe so.
That's what I've done. Like my mom would call, I'm calling and calling. This was before the state took over, and I'm like, okay, Mom, let's do it again. And, finally, we were all calling for my mom and dad.
Right.
And, we got them scheduled. And they came through fine. They really did. They came through fine. My dad's 90, and that's the primary reason why I've been so careful this entire year. It's been a year, dude.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Crazy year.
It's like, what? It's like 10 days officially from a year.
Yeah, this time last year I was talking to Cameron High School students about the different trades in our trade as electricians.
Yeah.
And we were in there, and me and the ironworkers agent, Sean Curry, and we're sitting there thinking, I'm surprised they had this. And then the next couple of days they shut the state down.
Yeah, I can remember it. All of a sudden, the girls' basketball tournament was postponed.
Yeah.
you know, and I felt bad for my friend Bernie Dolan, the executive director of the SSAC. Nobody knew what was going on, you know, and then all of a sudden Governor Justice comes out and says, I'm shutting down schools. No warning to anybody.
Right.
No warning to anyone.
Well, and my kids, you know, you're looking at the end of the school year at this time of year. It was like, hey, take a couple books home with you.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like, we're canceling the school for the school year.
Yeah.
Come back and get your locker cleaned out. We'll make appointments to do that.
Wasn't that crazy?
Project in the Valley. And I think you're going to see a lot of good things happen. That's needed to be the economy coming back, better jobs, job spinoffs of this thing, property values going up for people that, you know, want to rent an apartment out, all that stuff. It's all good, productive things going on in general as a whole will happen here.
That's Doug Giffin, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the IBEW Local 141. I'm not sure I had all the volume on. I'm still Yeah, thank goodness. That's right. And now, what I was told, and this is by somebody who has worked on the land at Dilley's Bottom to get it ready for that construction. What I was told is the moment that they are finished up in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, in Potter Township, those everybody comes here.
I think that's part of their plan too, as well as manpower. You know, as much as manpower is in need sometimes, when you have a job that pulls that much manpower, you know, and the focus is on that project, for them to go ahead and try to start something without all the manpower in line it's going to be very hard for them.
That's a lot of people too.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'm sure. What about apprenticeships? Are you still getting apprentices? You still training?
So right now we are taking applications for apprenticeship. With the downturn in work and our members being off, I don't know that we'll select a class this year. That doesn't mean to not come and apply for our apprenticeship. You can do that 82 Burkham Court between the hours of 8 o'clock and 11:30, and after lunch between 1 and 3:30. And all you need out there is a birth certificate, high school transcripts, and a driver's license, and then you're going to fill out a questionnaire. If you want to provide a resume, that always looks good when we review your application packet. It does require a $20 bill for testing, and that goes into our testing program, which is not affiliated with us. And then if you have a passing grade, you come before an interview board.
Okay. All right. Well, and you may not have a class, but again, like Doug just said, go ahead and get registered. You know, get your information, get the interview, be on deck, I guess a baseball guy would say, right?
Yeah, keep your day job and come out and apply for a better job.
There you go. Now, Doug, you're pretty fired up over West Virginia politics, and you even brought a list.
So,
overall, and he gave us a great overall last segment, but overall, what's the approach to labor by the Republican majorities in Charleston?
As an overall, they are trying to cut wages in the state and let out-of-town corporations come in and gain wealth from the minerals that are underneath the feet of the West Virginia public. That is, everything's in line for that, as well as making tax breaks to try to entice them to come in and take the minerals. And all of that, if you don't think that that's what they're trying to do, you need to review the bills that are on the plate right now of the members in Charleston. And I have just a few of them. First of all, the general public should be very aggravated with what they're trying to do with personal income tax.
Okay.
By cutting personal income tax, they are going to have to go ahead and increase sales tax on every item that you buy. It will increase luxury taxes, which is any purchase over $5,000. And just by increasing the sales tax, it puts the burden on the citizens and the people that come in to shop into the great state of West Virginia. It's going to put a $350 tax on every family in West Virginia, and especially those, that $350 is related to anybody that makes under $35,000. So as your income goes up, you will be taxed more on the goods and services that you pay for in the state of West Virginia. So places like the North.
Honestly, it sounds asinine to me, Doug. I don't like. I may have to write that guy another open letter because it just doesn't make sense. You look at what he wants to tax to make up for $1.2 billion income tax, right? And, you know, and there's another dollar on cigarettes. Okay, whatever.
Right.
You know, if you're dumb enough to be somebody like me who smokes, you're kind of used to that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I'm going to tell you, and everybody out there. Well, there you are. There you are. I'm going to quit. I really don't want my brain on Chantix. You see what I'm saying?
So we talked to a restaurant owner out in front of your house, and I'm agreeing on the smoking thing. But when we talked to him, he's on Wheeling Island.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of restaurants that popped up in Wheeling. Are you really going to pay X amount of dollars more to shop in Wheeling in West Virginia than you are at St. Clairsville or Pennsylvania?
Listen, I can remember as a kid, my dad would, because my mom she's famous for the line, Eddie, take this one with you. Okay. So, you know, my dad would be like, my nickname because I was tall, Teak. Okay. Hey, Teak, let's go get some gas. And I always went with my dad because he'd go to Bridgeport.
Right.
Okay. Because of the gas tax here in West Virginia. Okay. To this day, we still go up to Pennsylvania for some clothes. And, you know, Michelle does a significant amount of grocery shopping near her place of work near St. Clairsville. Right. So those things aren't going to change for us. Okay, it's not going to change for us. But I can see other people. Like, another perfect example, Doug. When I was doing the Pirates newspaper, I had a lot of friends in the organization and sponsors and whatever, and they'd always ask me on, say, a Wednesday, hey, you going home? You going home this weekend?
Yeah.
And yeah, I am. I'm going to see the parents, taking the kids down so they can see their friends. Here's $100. Get me a carton of cigarettes.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some nights or some Sundays when we would travel home, and I'd have 8 cartons of cigarettes in the car for friends and coworkers.
Right. Because,
you know, I believe in Pennsylvania, a carton back then was probably, you know, $110, $120, maybe less, but they would give me $100 and I'd give them change. It was probably $30 to $35 cheaper for a carton of cigarettes than it was in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
and that's just an example. You know, it's like Jim Justice does not know, and no, I'm not flipping a bird on the camera. Okay, see this right here, ladies and gentlemen? See right around here? That's us. Okay? Over here, you got a state. Over here, you got another state. We could do it that way, too, so it's right around, you know. I mean, we're a panhandle. We're surrounded. I'm a par 5 from Ohio, from my house. Yeah, say that,
it's a
Sarah
long
Palin.
par 5, Steve.
No, it's just, dude, if I hit a golf ball straight down 14th Street.
It's going to bounce a country mile, but yeah.
Yeah. It's going to end up at Heritage Port, and then I'm going to pound that ball. Oh, I'd never make it over the front channel these days, but yeah, okay, a par 7.
Yeah, but I mean, I get your point.
And only, 14 mile away from Pennsylvania from here?
Yeah. You know, Steve.
Yes, Doug.
We started, when I started, the very first thing that was under attack on labor was taking away the prevailing wage, which is meant from the state and from the federal government under the Davis-Bacon Act to keep construction workers at their house to raise families.
Right.
They removed prevailing wage. The second thing was all the years all my members paid union dues into my union hall in order to have a place that could represent them and had their best interest in mind. They opened up right to work, the state of West Virginia, which basically said somebody off the street could get the same rates as my members have.
Yeah.
Without payment.
Listen, I had Sean Fluharty, delegate here in 3rd District. I had Sean on Monday, and he went after it, just like Sean always does.
Then I don't even need to be here if Sean was here, because Sean's great at it. I mean, he's really good at it.
No, I mean, it makes me sad because, you know, of the mistake that we've made through the years with labor, okay? No Child Left Behind came out in 2001. All of a sudden, the focus was to send every kid to college.
Right.
That focus, ladies and gentlemen, is why student loan debt in the United States of America is higher than credit card debt.
Yeah.
Okay? And I hate that storyline, but it's the truth. So many kids were pushed into college that were not meant for college.
Yeah.
And a concentration from the trades, from CTE, career tech, it almost went away, almost completely. And that was a ginormous mistake on the American society's part. Put it this way, folks. You're always going to need a plumber. You're always going to need a roofer. You're always going to need a Doug Giffin, an electrician. You're always going to need those men and women, no matter how many people go to college. Okay? We had the big thaw, right? The big snow and the big thaw. Well, guess who I had up on my roof? Okay, somebody in the trades.
Yeah.
Okay? This summer, you know, we've got some significant home improvement projects. Who are we going to have here? People in the trades. Because if you're a property owner, you need the men and women working in the trades. And I'm so happy that I'm such good friends now with Corey O'Donnell.
Yes.
Because Corey not only owns the Your CBD store down in Moundsville, and she's a podcast sponsor, but she's an electrician. And she does great work. She comes up from their home in Florida for jobs.
So the attack that's on us right now is going to lessen the educational value of our members, make our numbers dwindle by lower wages. You'll end up paying more for the services in the future because of the laws that are being put down in Charleston right now.
Get that microphone close to you again, Doug.
You'll end up paying more for the services that we provide because of the number of people that are actually willing to do that for a living. You also will have corporations move in here to take our contractors out of business with out-of-state workers.
Yeah.
So we all preach.
Why is that a good idea to somebody?
We all preach we want somebody from our local area, or should. We all preach we want somebody from this country. They're open and engaged to let that happen right now.
And I go back to the question I asked just a moment ago. Why does that seem like a good idea to anybody in Charleston, West Virginia right now for the regular session? Why?
Because we called out that party and what they did to us 2 years ago and tried to put the proper people in place to protect West Virginia jobs. The jobs that West Virginians need to survive. You take my average member, they're probably a volunteer fireman in your community.
That's right.
They probably help coach Little League. I know I did both of those things for 15 years plus.
You did.
You know, I was able to do that because I was able to earn a good living and provide for my family and have some free time to donate back to the community. We've got members in my local that do I won't call them service projects, but community projects. We also take a portion of our dues money and give it to charities throughout Wheeling because we believe in Wheeling.
Yeah.
We want to protect some of the people that don't have food on their table or, you know, able to go into a setting and learn at a community center or a church that gives some schooling space to students and computer spaces to students.
Well, in the IBEW, ladies and gentlemen, Local 141, they're also a lead sponsor.
Yeah.
You know, and we appreciate that very, very much. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, you would have no idea what the average person in construction goes through in a day. Without the protections, it makes it even harder for them to provide. And it's just sad right now. I mean, you've got bills out there right now against teachers. So who wants to take our students' monies that you're paying in tax dollars and let it go to out-of-state corporations to educate your students? Who wants to say, hey, the state's going to write me a check for my kid's tuition and then I'm going to provide it to an institution that may not have the same great education they're going to get. That's the path we're headed down right now.
It's not a good path in my opinion. Doug Giffin, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the IBEW Local 141. Doug, what's the future of the trades here in the Valley? What do you see? I mean, you are awesome at looking down the road. And when I say looking down the road, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking just one block away. I'm talking you see 5 to 10 years in the future.
So the trades are kind of, I guess you would say, an oddity in business. So the value from us that moves forward day in and day out is the educational background you get. So most trades have 5 years of apprenticeship. That apprentice gets 5 years of training with a journeyman wireman. On top of that, and for us, we're going to school 2 nights a week through the normal session of Ohio County schools. So that person's donating their time to go to school. We are paying for their education and books. That value rings true time and time again with somebody that's professional when they come out to do a job for a customer. And I think that value will hold true through whatever they throw at us in Charleston. And I see people, good people coming in. There's a lot of younger members that are coming into the apprenticeship that have that hands-on learning ability and are strong in what they do and what they get forward with. So yeah, I mean, I see strength coming out of this. It's just some really hard times in front of us right now.
Right.
A lot of roadblocks.
Right. And I mean, let's face it, if PTT does move forward, and I'm still a believer in that project, I'm going to tell you that, folks. I'm still a believer in that project.
Oh, I'm 100% believer in it.
Are you okay?
Yes.
It gives us a chance to reinvent the economy here, because this economy, and maybe there's some young people watching that don't know this, but this economy was thriving when I was a kid.
Me too. And I was on a downfall end.
And now we hit the 80s.
Yeah.
And the 80s, steel started dwindling. Benwood closed. Okay, that was the first of the big red buildings to close. Okay, and then you just saw it. But, and I covered when WHX took over Wheeling Pit and all that. And that guy, I don't remember his name, but man, did he blame labor every single time I'd interview him. They want too much. They take too much from ownership for us to make capital improvements in our plants. I remember his answers very well. Maybe not his name, but when I would ask, hey, why is this all happening? Labor. Labor got to be known as a pretty evil entity for a long time. Did it not?
Yeah. And it's been the deception all along. I mean, when they blame it on labor, it's bad management all the way around. And one of the things that disgusted me out of the steel mills closing and it going away out of this area was the ability of the CEOs and the people in charge to run away with local folks' pensions or dwindle them down to where
healthcare
to where they were nothing. And that's sad. I mean, that's sad that they were able to get the bad mouth out enough to be able to get away with that kind of stuff. And that's happening all throughout the country and in every industry.
Well, as they say, if a petrochemical cracker plant builds, one, maybe another will. And there is that possibility that another one could be developed in Wood County. Mm-hmm. But they also say that the plastics manufacturers follow to cut down on transportation. I talked to a lot of people. Did you know Dilly's Bottom has a lower Dilly's and an upper Dilly's?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Well, and the neat thing about it is if you look like the town of Moundsville, they redid all their streets. They cleaned up their place. They have open vacant tenant lots to attain for buildings. I think Moundsville is going to be close enough that the growth of Moundsville is going to take off. Wheeling is set up for that same growth. When you look at Wheeling. So these people that are building this plant, they want to see growth in industry pop up around it because it makes them more profitable.
That's exactly right. Doug Giffin with the IBEW, ladies and gentlemen, Local 141. My guest today, just getting a text. I'm surrounded by 3 screens, Doug. Have you ever seen something so crazy?
You're doing a good job of it.
I'm trying.
I'll say first time here, doing a good job of it.
You like the man cave?
Other than the camera fail, but I think that wasn't your fault.
No, I think the system just met. Thank
we'll
goodness.
Get through this, Steve.
Eric, oh no, we're done. Eric, thank goodness he just lives a couple houses away. But no, he and Erica Donahue, I'm not doing this by myself, man.
Right.
There's just no way. We have a system in place. As soon as we're done with this hour, you may not see me do it, but I'll put them over in the Dropbox. Erica gets them up on Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, Listen Now. I mean, I'm on, and that's all Erica. Erica does that. Erica's my IT guy. I'm just the pretty face. You believe that?
I didn't say yes or no. No, I believe it.
Doug, thanks for coming on. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to have to shut that down and call Mom and Dad back because that'll make a very loud noise at the end of the podcast. Let's do it more often, Doug.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Steve.
You bet. Doug Giffin, ladies and gentlemen, again, the president of the IBEW Local 141. We'll go ahead and take the break. When we come back, Mr. Jon Banco. He's the gig master, big promoter, and a local musician. What's taking place this weekend? We're going to find out. What's up with Blame My Roots? We're going to find that out in the second segment of the final hour. Again, I'm Steve Novotney, and Steve Novotney Lives here on Lead News. Again, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I know you couldn't hear us. There's so many little buttons I've got to push to get this thing started.
It's all right. We got a good test run on that.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Second time's a charm.
I started the music again, and he just looked over at me and smiled.
It's good because the first time, wow, it was awful. So I'm glad we got that second take.
Yeah. Yeah, but as I was saying, upgrades are coming on a weekly basis. Pretty soon, you're going to be able to see Jon Banco on the show.
Ooh, you're going to put a face to the voice, huh?
I got cameras coming, and
I better start dressing a little bit better.
That's just going to be more, right? That's just more buttons I'm going to have to learn.
Am I going to have to start wearing pants again? Jeez. The pantsless year. Right?
Honestly, some of those folks actually do that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Like they'll have shorts on when they're on the news and things.
Yeah.
I'd do that if you're only seeing waist up.
Yeah, why not?
But me.
It's like a funeral. They don't put your pants on.
Don't they?
No.
Yeah.
Unless you do full casket, which a lot of people don't.
No.
Yeah, a lot of people just get they just get the old urn and they're good to go.
I have to go to the funeral home tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, Betty G. Knuckles, God love you, baby. Thank you for you. Yeah, okay. Let's get down to business. You still booking?
Yeah. So I got 4 this week. Technically 5. There's 2 and 1.
Oh,
it's a 2-for-1 deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's picking up now. Future stuff is looking great. I mean, everything's wide open. I got a ton of great acts. They're all locked into their slots at all the venues. So we're just waiting for the light switch to kick on, and it sounds like it will soon, from what I've been told. So I'm hoping this week would be the week. So we'll see. Hopefully Friday will bring good tidings.
I hope so.
Me too. For everybody's sake, not just for me, but for all the musicians, all the people that love to go out and see live music, yada yada. What we talk about every week, the same thing. I can't wait until we're just going over 15 different schedules a week and who is who and what is what and the food they serve and the specials they have and all that good stuff. I can't wait to do all that again.
I know,
because I miss that a lot.
I know.
But we got four great events this Saturday.
All right, run them down and we'll talk about them.
All right, we'll kick it off with the earliest of the bunch, which I believe will be the Char House this Saturday. They're going to be doing inside entertainment like they did last week. Roger played last week. From what I heard, it went very well. This week it's going to be Mr. Rick Purcell. He's out of Pittsburgh. He's a piano player.
Okay.
He usually does a lot of singing and things like that, but this week, just because of the rules, we're going to stick to straight instrumental. They have a little baby grand piano right there in the char house. It's the char house's piano, and Rick will come up and he'll just play a little classical, a little jazz, a little mix, but it's beautiful while you're sitting there eating your ribeye or your veal,
Crab cake.
yeah, or your crab cake, to listen to a little classy piano in the background, and with the way it sounds in there, it's perfect dinner music. It's just audible. It's not in your face. It's beautiful for indoor background instrumental. But he'll be there from 6 to 9 at the Char House this Saturday. Some of the other events, let's see, we got at the Prima Marina. They're going to do a doubleheader this Saturday, kind of a little St. Patty's Day party, if you will. They're going to have a DJ during the day. I'm not sure what time he starts. He'll probably start right around, I would say like 2 or 3. And then we're going to have Mr. Jeff Tappy will be from 5 to 8. And then they're going to close the night out with R&B, which is Roeder and Brosh. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's Mr. Mike Roeder, who has been the leader of the Catch Blues Band. He's been to the IBCs, the International Blues Competitions, many times. He's played at Blues Fest many a times. He's one of the true blues players in the Ohio Valley, and along with Mr. Kevin Brosh, who's also in the Catch Blues Band for a long time, and he also plays with Tongue in Cheek on keys too.
Okay.
So he's very versatile. But those two together, they do a phenomenal job at playing some classic rock and some just really, really great blues songs. A lot of Clapton. If you like Clapton, you're gonna love these guys. So they will be there from 8 till 11 at the Prima, following Mr. Jeff Tappy from 5 to 8. And as I said, they have a DJ running during the day. So that's Prima Marina. At the Riverside Restaurant, they're going to have Mr. Luke Burkhart. Do you remember Luke?
I remember the name.
We had him on one time. He's a nurse, so he's very busy. But he was kind of in and out of the game there because of his schedule. But the last, not last year, obviously, but the year before, he was playing. He started to get back into playing a lot, and but he will be at Riverside. He does a lot of kind of country, but he's some really, really cool originals too. He writes some really good music, so it's a very unique experience with Luke. But he always entertains the masses very well. He'll be down at Riverside from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and that is located in Powhatan, Ohio, down there. It's a beautiful restaurant, sits right on the river, as the name, Riverside Restaurant. And they actually built a huge addition, as I've told you before, onto their indoor bar. And they also have an outdoor pavilion for the summertime, where we'll be having bands outside and all kinds of cool stuff going on out there, cornhole, and you can pull up on the nice, beautiful new docks they built there. And they usually got a guy on one of those cool, I don't know what you call them. I guess they're hover things, the hover skis. You know what I'm talking about, Steve?
Yeah, I saw those.
They get hooked up to a Sea-Doo and they just project you into the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But they got a guy, I think it's actually Mike Winley who does a lot of it. He'll go out there and he gets on and he's doing flips and tricks for the crowd, and everybody just sits there and watches. It's fun. So that's what's going on at Riverside this Saturday, Mr. Luke Burkhart. And then at these, it will be at the spa patio whenever we move outside. Right now, we're going to be doing this at the Fort Henry Club, or the Fort Henry Room, up at Oglebay, basically Hickman Lounge. That's where it's at. But it will be Mr. Eli Lambie this Saturday from 8 to 10, and he'll be doing some strictly instrumental music up there, mixing it up between a little jazz and classical. Of course, Eli is the lead singer for the Mojo Kings, also the concert pianist for the Wheeling Symphony, and he also wears like 15 other hats too as well. Phenomenal teacher. Actually, he just received Teacher of the Year.
Yeah, and he sewed Washington Lands Elementary, right?
Yes, sir.
Eli said thank you and everything. He put a post up on Facebook, and it's obvious why he got it. I mean, in a very good way, I'm going to say this. He's a kid too.
Oh yeah. No,
he knows how to have fun.
Yeah, he's at that great age where he's still got the energy. I know you and I both remember the teachers, at least when I was in there, the teachers were on the older side, and I notice now all the teachers are on the younger side, and Eli is one of those fortunate souls to that has the enough energy to keep up with the young ones these days. And he does a great job. He's a great teacher, great kid, just great all around person. Probably one of the most well-rounded young people I've ever met, as far as hardworking, accomplished, and you reap what you sow, and it really shows with someone like Eli. If you work hard and you put your nose to the grindstone, great things happen to you. So I feel privileged and honored to be a part of the Mojo Kings and what's going on with that. But Eli will be solo. We have a lot of Mojo Kings things coming up throughout the season. I'll let everybody know. If you want to check out our website, everything's up there where we're going to be at. But Eli himself will be at the Fort Henry Room, which is right off of the Hickman Lounge up at Ogilvie Resort, this Saturday from 8 until 10. And that is about it. So not too bad.
All right.
Yeah.
No, not, I mean.
Slowly picking up. Slowly.
Well, that's what you expected.
Right.
And when you call somebody in the state and you say, hey, state, you opened everything up 100%, which I did a story with Matt Welsh, the Vagabond Chef, it published yesterday. It's ridiculous. Think about this. Let's concentrate on that story. And it was Vagabond Chef not happy about state's pandemic management. And it's up on, Lead News right now. Matt's like, okay, so you tell me I can open 100%. I can have people in every seat as long as I have social distancing. He goes, he told me, it's like somebody in Charleston doesn't know the restaurant business. Everybody is seated 3 feet away, not 6.
Yeah, and
he's like, it's simple math. If people are sitting 3 feet away, I'm still at 50%, no matter what you're telling me.
Right. Now, yeah. That's the problem is, and it does. If you have a large room and you have a small room, it is a completely different animal. You know what I mean? It's tough for the smaller. I don't want to call them mom and pop stores, but that's kind of what they're called. You know what I mean? The locally owned small businesses.
Yeah.
It is tough when you're dealing with a certain amount of space. I mean, by fire code, if you're only allowed to have this many people in the room, and then you add another 3 feet of distance between everybody, you're literally probably cutting it in half already. So, yeah, it's tough. Now, I have seen that I don't feel that it is being enforced in a dramatic way from what I have seen out, and I'm not saying it's bad either way. I'm completely neutral on this. I'm just saying from what I've seen.
No, and Matt will tell you it's not being enforced,
right,
other than by the business owner.
Yes.
Okay, if somebody walks in without a mask, somebody at the Vagabond Kitchen has to say, I'm sorry, sir, to enter the restaurant, you have to be wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And if they have a problem with it, it's the employee or the owner that says, well, then please come back, when you're willing or when it's all over. It's not a health department person. It's not a police officer or a sheriff's deputy. It's on them.
Right, but I'm saying somebody has to, go around and make sure they're checking on that. You know, I mean, it is.
Apparently, that's not happening.
Yeah, right. So I don't know if it is an issue or it isn't, and that's the thing. You're kind of in this purgatory where, am I going to get in trouble? Am I not? And I completely see the health department side of it because they're getting their info from downstate. So
right.
Every time they get something, and then they get a million phone calls about it, if they're not given the correct information, they're put in a very awkward position too.
Right.
How do you enforce something that you're not sure is the rule or isn't week to week?
I know. And when somebody from the state, ladies and gentlemen, can't tell me if vocals and woodwind instruments are okay with 100% open, then it's not 100%.
Right.
Honest to goodness, yeah. Doug Giffin, who was here prior, he asked me, how do you think the state's doing and to getting the information out? I said, I think they're trying.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to what you do for a business and what I like to do for enjoyment, for recreation, go see live bands, they're stinking up the house.
It's definitely delaying, and I feel like we're like right at the end of it, and it's just really frustrating because we can see across the road, we just can't get across the road. Like, I can see everything going on across there, but there's just too much traffic, which would be the bureaucracy of everything going on, so I can't get across the road to get to my objective.
Yeah, you can see across the road, but you don't want to play Frogger across it.
Right. And I think all the venues are trying to play safe, but they're also trying to plan ahead too.
Yeah.
Which is, it's hard. And so I'm just trying to organize everything so that when it's ready, everything's already in place.
Yep.
The guys know where they need to be. They know where they're going. Everything's secure. And it gives the guys that I work with, the guys and the girls that I work with, a lot of just this security of, okay, we can see a future about to happen. Like, it's going to happen. We know they're booking. That's what I told all the venues. I was like, let's just go ahead and start booking, because I don't want to do this thing where we're all scrambling like week of, like, everybody fill the books. So we're ahead of the game. I'm hoping this week might be the last week for everything, for people like Matt down there and all the other small businesses and just everybody in general in life, you know.
It's time to open it up.
Yeah, I think we're there.
I mean, I've said this before. I've said it to you, whether it was on air or not. Open it up. If you don't know how to live with COVID by now.
And that's the thing. People need to be responsible, especially with St. Patty's Day coming up. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
boy.
And I know a lot of places kind of are backing down now from having the big band and the big party. And that's being responsible. I mean, it really is. Why do that, 3 weeks before all of the elderly around here, or the majority of them, can get to a vaccination? Why take the chance of getting anybody else who is susceptible to it sick when it's just time? You know what I mean? Once they get vaccinated, we're going to be fine. The younger generation, it's not that big of a problem from what I've seen.
Right, from what they tell us, right.
Yeah, and so the combination of that mindset and everybody going out once we're allowed to go out and do it responsibly, because it's not just going to be like, oh, it's over, bye. And no, it's going to be another year of figuring this out. But we have to do it to where people aren't being squeezed and strangled to death financially.
Right. But I do feel as if we're close.
Yes.
And,
We're
now
on the
that
precipice.
I understand a lot of people in Ohio County anyway, 60 and above, they're getting vaccinated. That's
16 above, that's a big one. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
a big one.
That's a big generation pool there that we need.
And so is my age.
Right.
And so I'm excited about
you're not
it.
in that? You're not in that age?
I have a baseball on my desk.
You do. I see there's a lot of bats laying around too. So
Yeah.
I better watch what I say.
Yeah, I can't swing a bat or throw a baseball like I used to be able to, but I'm pretty sure still won't feel good against that head of yours.
No, it wouldn't.
Listen, I'm ready.
Yeah.
To get vaccinated. I told everybody the first hour, I was like, hey, if I'm in the system, Justice said 50 and above, even though I think he's just searching for national headlines. I registered, 50 and above.
It's a good goal. It's a good goal to meet.
Great.
It looks good on paper.
And yeah, it looks good on a newspaper.
It
He's
looks good on a
chasing
newspaper.
headlines. That's my opinion, but I did. I was with Sheriff Howard earlier today working on a story, and I told him, I said, my parents are vaccinated, Michelle's aunt and uncle are vaccinated, my daughter, my wife, I'm ready.
So just take that out of your family. There's a large percentage that have been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And hopefully that is sort of the case everywhere. If we can get to 80% of the families vaccinated and it's left with like me and Mikey as the last one.
Right.
I think we're heading in the right direction. I feel like we're getting there. And I understand both sides. It is very frustrating. It is. And I feel everybody's pain. Believe me, I feel your pain more than you'll ever know. But
The thing is, though,
just be patient.
when I get vaccinated, I want either Pfizer or Moderna.
Yeah.
And that's, listen, the J&J, that's fine, 76.
I've never really liked Johnson & Johnson. There's been a lot of weird stuff coming out of Johnson & Johnson lately.
I've been a fan of the baby oil.
But there's been a lot of products but they make a lot of products. So
Yeah, they do.
the more products you make, the more are going to be kind of maybe just questionable.
But listen, if only the J&J is available, I'm getting it.
Yeah, well, you should just do all of them. It's like
Just do them all.
like a buffet.
I am 300% immune. You can go ahead and spit on me. I'll punch you, but
COVID don't kill me. I kill COVID.
I killed COVID. No, I'm ready. Everybody older than me in my life and people I care about, they're vaccinated. So I'm like, okay, I'm not stepping in front of anybody I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when I get that call, I'm going.
Yeah, and I can't imagine living in a big city and dealing with the parameters of getting all this out. You know what I mean? And Wheeling, we're kind of fortunate. In West Virginia, just because of our population density, we're very fortunate. But yeah, can you imagine? New York City or Detroit or Cleveland. I mean, just where do I get mine and how do I get there?
Listen, here in Ohio County, we go to a vacant former craft store.
Right.
For the Ohio County Community Vaccination Clinic. In New York City, you mentioned it, they're going to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a movie.
Yeah, it's like
a pandemic movie, sort of. Only it's real. It's like a real.
In
real
Pittsburgh,
movie.
they're going to Heinz Field.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. You can see the Lombardi trophies in the lobby.
Well, it's the only time that anybody can afford to get in there, right?
Right. Yeah, you said a mouthful there, but
yeah, people just be hiding, waiting for the first game.
I'm waiting. I got to see that number 7 again. He coming back.
Right. That's funny.
No, listen, I just, more and more, I want everybody to get it vaccinated as quickly as possible because that's what's really going to make everybody
level the playing field.
Yeah, that's what everybody's going to make. Yeah, it's going to make people feel safe.
Yeah.
I can tell you my dad thinks he's invincible.
Well, that's good. It's good to have a good solid outlook too. But yes, there are dangers to that if you get too far ahead of yourself.
Well, and I've told him, I was like, "Oh, there, Nelly." I'm like,
we got a couple years left. Let's hold
right.
on to those.
No, we celebrated something over at Abby's last week, and my dad comes on wearing a mask because the sign's on there. You got to be wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So he's wearing it on the top of his head, and I'm just like, Dad.
Yeah.
Well, and then 90 years old again. I get. Do you know what I've lived through in my lifetime, Stephen?
Yeah. And that's why. That's why you care. Because why are you going to let this, out of all the things that you've been through, this thing is the one that's going to get you.
He'll tell you, too. I'm a great depression baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lived through World War II.
And if you went through that, you would feel the same exact way. I guarantee it.
And then I lived...
stubbornness.
Oh, dude. you know the old joke? Where you look up the definition of a word in the dictionary and somebody's picture there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a joke. My dad's picture is there.
It's for real.
Stubborn.
But yeah, hopefully things change. We'll see. We got St. Patty's Day coming up next week. I know a lot of people are depending on it. Some of the events have already been canceled. I know a lot of the events with the big bands, they kind of backed off. So maybe St. Patty's Day just won't be what it was, which St. Patty's is, whatever. It's one of those we just kind of not made up, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a very marketable holiday. It's not like it's Christmas or Easter or something like that.
St. Patrick's Day was the last party night of 2020.
It was. It is the pretty much the benchmark for our year.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I never thought we were going to go this far. It's really crazy that we are literally a year total into this. Last year it was just, it'll be over in 2 months, and
nobody knew.
Okay,
hey,
give it another month.
The stay-at-home orders for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was 2.5 months.
Yeah. So, but we got through it, and we did. And even though we've had some major complications, I feel like as a country we've got through. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened. So, and we're not tearing each other apart yet.
Amen. All right, we're going to go ahead and take the bottom of the hour break. Jon Banco, you want to give the schedule again before we take the break? And then I'm getting Chris Dutton on, ladies and gentlemen, co-founder of the Blame My Roots Festival out in Morristown, Ohio. We're going to talk about this year's event, Miranda Lampert, the camping aspect, and, of course, the new policy that you and I are not allowed to bring beer in. We've got to buy it inside. We'll talk to Chris about all those things. John, why don't you give us the schedule?
All right, this Saturday at the Char House, it's Mr. Rick Purcell. He'll be tickling those ivories from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. At the Prima Marina, they're going to be doing an all-day event, sort of a pseudo St. Patty's Day party. They're going to have a DJ during the day, and then at 5 o'clock, they're going to have Mr. Jeff Tappy from 5 to 8. And then R&B, which is Rotor and Brosh from the Catch Blues Band. They will be there from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock. Moving on to Riverside Restaurant located in Powhatan. They're going to have Mr. Luke Burkhart from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And I believe we have one more, and that'll be Mr. Eli Lambie will be performing at the Hickman Lounge / Fort Henry room up there on the second floor of the Ogilvy Resort building. And that'll be Wilson Lodge, of course. And he'll be there from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock this Saturday. So,
all right, there you go. Promoter Jon Banco, ladies and gentlemen. I call him the Gig Master. Chris Dutton, co-founder of Blame My Roots. He's coming up during the final segment of the show. So we'll go ahead and take that break. I'm Steve Novotney. It's Steve Novotney Lives right here on Lead News. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. There is a press release that has been issued by West Liberty University, the West Virginia Northern Community College Board of Governors, and Dr. Jenny Favit, president of Wheeling University, and Dr. Daniel Mosser, the president of West Virginia Northern Community College, on lead here shortly. We'll have the exact quotes, but it reads this way. Attached is a joint statement from Wheeling University, West Liberty University, and West Virginia Northern Community College in response to the City of Wheeling's Memorandum of Understanding with Bluefield State College. The letter was sent to the Honorable Mayor Glenn F. Elliott and Wheeling City Council on February 19th. Also attached is the MOU signed by the city manager and the Bluefield State College president, Robin Capehart, on January 5, 2021. The president of my alma mater, Dr. W. Franklin Evans, says, I stand in solidarity with other leaders of our local colleges and universities in this matter. We are confident that our three institutions are equipped to provide the educational needs of this region with quality programs that meet the demands of our regional employers. This is a process that must be followed to ensure that the expansion of programs by public institutions of higher learning in the state of West Virginia are needed and successful. This process is proper and is the only way to achieve approval of such expansion. From the West Virginia Northern Community College Board of Governors, David Artman, it says, since Wheeling is already well served by three exceptional colleges and universities, not to mention those in surrounding counties, there is no need for Wheeling's elected leaders to enter into an MOU feasibility study with Bluefield State College. Our local colleges have been outstanding partners to the city, county, and region and have served our students, communities, and employer partners well for many decades. The rest, of course, as I said, will be up on Lead News. But, John, that's breaking news here in the city of Wheeling and Ohio County.
yeah, it's big. It's big.
It's real big. It's real big. And Eric goes, your camera's still off. Nobody wants to see my face reading. But, yeah, so there's some pretty big news. What are the fines for not complying? Greg, you're going to have to ask a more specific question, so I might be able to go ahead and answer you. Chris Dutton is the co-founder of Blame My Roots, the festival, the hopefully soon-to-be annual festival in Belmont County in Morristown, Ohio. And Chris joins me now. Chris, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us for the Steve Novotney Lives podcast.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you scared me there. Your delay. I'm like, what'd I do? What button didn't I push? Come on, Chris.
Sorry about that. Gotcha.
Not a problem. All right. So how are you? How's the family? How's the pandemic treated everybody?
We're doing good. Just coming out of it. I'm so far, knock on wood, I'm the only person that had COVID in our family. But we're doing good. Just busy planning, busy trying to run a restaurant here locally, and busy doing a lot of things.
I'm sure. I am sure. But my buddy Jon Banco, he's not been to the Pike yet.
I have not. I've heard great things. I've seen great things. Me and Steve were doing a little road trip the other day, and we ended up driving by it, and it looks like a great place. I can't wait to get in there sometime.
It's a fun place. We try to do a lot in the summers, and we've got a nice, really big patio out there, big courtyard, and no, it's great. It's a lot of work as a restaurant, a lot of work to do that in a pandemic, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, if they've never been in the restaurant business, they don't understand, Chris. I mean, they just don't. Consistency with service and the food, that seems to be one of the biggest challenges. As I tell restaurant owners around here, because of my personal history in the restaurant business with Elby's, is a big boy in Columbus has to be a big boy in South Hills, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, blame my roots. Hey,
it's a tough deal.
This thing's actually going to happen this summer, doesn't it look like?
It looks like it to us. I mean, Governor DeWine came out last week and said 30% for capacity, and I think that's good stuff for us. If we hear that in March, I think that number's also just going to go up. So yeah, we got a green light for July.
I mean, that's terrific news to hear. So, Chris, let's get back on that 70%. Who has told you that? The state or the county, or has the county just repeated what the state has told you?
That's just the state. I mean, we're going to have to follow what the state did. We dealt with that with the restaurant as well. So, they were basically just following as a fair and festivals as they rolled out that thing from the state last week. Yeah, they're just 30% occupancy for outdoor events. Indoor, I think, is at 20 or 25. So right now, 30% occupancy for outdoor events, and that's, again, I think that number is just going to go up. You saw DeWine talking about things that were going to come up here later in the spring, and I again, having a restaurant and having to follow the guidelines that the state wanted with us, we're just going to have to do the same thing with this, and those guidelines will roll out some point this spring.
Now, Chris, did you say 30% occupancy or 70%?
It's 30 right now.
Oh, 30 right now.
That's what the state. Yeah, that's what the state rolled out. 30%.
Okay.
30% capacity for outdoor events.
Okay, now for Boy My Roots at the Valley View Campground, what's 30%? How many people does that allow you to admit into the show as of right now?
Yeah, so the good thing for us is we don't have a permanent structure out there. So we can practically make that back fence stretch until we get 30%, until we make that number work. So our capacity, as we have fenced in, is 10,000. We don't need to hit that number. So we can make that back fence. We can make the capacity of that venue work as much as we can. We don't have, again, we don't have a permanent structure out there. So we bring in all the fencing, we bring in all the staging, we bring in all that stuff, and we can just work with whatever that number is at the time.
Okay. All right, Chris Dutton, co-founder.
So it's good news for us. It's good to be new. It's good to be flexible. It's good to be a young event right now, to be honest.
There you go. Chris Dutton, the co-founder of Blame My Roots. He's actually in the middle of a staff meeting. I got him out of it because, he wants to be on the show. Now, Chris, Miranda Lampert, man, and she's on your billboard heading west on I-70. That's a big sign. I mean, Neil McCoy's cool. Don't get me wrong. I can't wait to hear Day-O, Day-O. I haven't heard that for a few years. But Miranda Lampert, dude, how'd you score that?
We got lucky with her because if you think about it, the whole intent for Nashville was to flip 2020 cancellations into 2021. What we knew from being a small festival, what my opinion from being a small festival with only having 1 year under our belts, was I didn't want to completely remarket. I didn't want to go another year trying to come up with marketing ideas for a festival that we practically were already through marketing at that point. We had already gone through a couple of price tiers, so I thought, okay, we just need to rebook. And then I thought, you know what, let's try to get somebody bigger. Let's see if there's somebody out there. So we had, we kind of scoured, and when I saw that her name was possibly available, it was great. But booking in 2020, while everyone was sort of working remotely and still working remotely, was extremely difficult. And being a young festival and going after someone of that budget, they don't really trust you either. So they background you a lot, and they just second guess you to high heaven until they get worn out and then accept you. So it's a pretty tough process, booking in general, and booking as a young festival, going from what our budget was to tripling our budget with her. It was a big step. And again, it's something that honestly the managers don't really trust you, and it's just a tough hurdle, really. So we were lucky. We were quite honestly at a point where, and I've said this publicly, I mean, we were at a point where we were going to cancel. We didn't think we were all out of people. We didn't think we were going to hear back from their camp, and there was no one else left that I thought we could build a festival around, even on the lower budget end. So we were at the point where we were canceling. And the day actually that we heard from her, I had talked to my sister, who co-owns this with me, and that morning, and said, you know what, if we don't get her, we're canceling. And we were supposed to hear back later that day, yes or no, and it came back yes. So we had made a decision to actually fold if we had not heard back from her.
Wow, Chris.
Tenth week. I mean, it was a tenth week. We were supposed to hear back from her first of, within 30 days, and then that pushed out to like 60. So we were just at the end of we were just all burned out, and just, again, if she didn't agree to it, we were kind of out of other people we thought we could actually have headline. Because again, there's people that can headline and people that can't, and we were running out of people.
All right, Chris Dutton on the show. Jon Banco, one of the primary promoters here in the Upper Ohio Valley, is with me. John, what question do you have for Chris Dutton?
Actually, while listening to what he was talking about, I was kind of just recently going through the same thing as far as the back and forth with booking agencies and things like that. This past year he's right. It was really tough to get a callback, anything, and I'm working on a much different level than where he's at. But even on this very low level, it was the communication definitely slowed down. Emails were not coming right back like they have in the past. Contracts weren't coming through as quick as they were. So I can't even imagine when he's dealing with the numbers he's dealing with, how frustrating that was. But it is. I can only imagine his feeling, because I've gotten it before, when you finally get it done and you're like, yes. It's a great feeling to nail that contract down. So yeah, congratulations. That's a fantastic act to get out there. Now, are you guys doing Friday and Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
It's just Friday and Saturday. So the way that we started to build Blame My Roots was I knew that there's just been changes in the live music scene. There's obviously been more changes than we thought when we started in 2019, but I knew that we could not be a 4 to 5 day festival like Jamboree was, because it's just hard to sustain that. There's not many of those around anymore. Right. And the ones that are like 50,000 people a day. Right. So our goal was pretty much to try to push it to the evenings as much as we can and start small. Jamboree started small. Started off as 2 days. Yep. So we're Friday and Saturday. Neil McCoy headlines Friday, Randall Lambert headlines Saturday, and then we have 2 nights of kickoff parties basically a welcoming on Wednesday and a kickoff camper party on Thursday. That'll both of those two are actually BYOB. They're more traditional campground style on a separate stage, and then Friday and Saturday is the concert. Is the main Bud Light stage concert with those two headliners.
Oh yeah, go ahead and throw Bud Light at us, Dutton. way to make me think about that.
Nice name drop.
You know,
They're,
all of a
they're
sudden,
a great sponsor for us. They're a great sponsor for us. They were with us in 2019, Buxley there, and they're with us last year and stood with us last year and this year too. So it's been a good relationship.
you know, that's not what I'm talking about, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
We're not allowed.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to bring our coolers in anymore, Chris.
No, that's right. Not allowed to bring coolers in. That's what, that part we obviously started 2019 and 2020 with the thought that we clearly just wanted to have the smaller brother of Jamboree type of a festival. We thought that's what the market wanted and what they sort of demanded. So that's what we did. And what we found out was, we didn't sell enough tickets, and the people didn't care about it. We heard every excuse in the book why people didn't show up in 2019, and we heard a lot of reasons why they loved it, which was some of the cooler stuff, but bringing your own thing. But we also heard, well, your headliners aren't big enough, and your acts aren't big enough, and you don't have the talent, the roster sucks, or the lineup sucks. And it's just like, okay, well, what we did in 5 months to throw 2019 together with Trace Atkins, who was definitely a Thursday night Jamboree closer, caliber closer. To hear your lineup sucks was sort of tough.
Yeah.
So I'll go to my grave saying, at the end of the day, I think people chase headliners. They don't chase the coolers. And I think there's a whole age group that didn't really grow up with the cooler thing either.
You're exactly right.
Well, it's a dying thing. It really,
It doesn't exist anymore.
And I think that's what people weren't understanding was this is literally the last stand here. Jamboree was the last stand where they was bring whatever because everything has been capitalized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to be. It has to be to make it work.
Country concert out in Springfield, they still do it. They're still privately owned. They still do it with limitations. But they're 40 years. They have 40 years of revenue in their coffers to be able to do that. So what we found out is that, okay, if we are going to get Miranda Lambert, if we are going to do that, we have to then now just play ball with how all the other concerts work and how live music works. I think maybe I'd mentioned to you, Steve, separate call that the industry standard is that you will not make money on ticket sales to cover the cost of your artist.
No.
You do not make enough money on ticket sales to cover the cost of your artist. You are hoping to get somewhere in the 80% of your artist cost selling it in ticket sales. So they already know right off the rip that what they're charging you won't recover that on ticket sales.
And
that's what country music is.
And the inflation I don't think people grasp how expensive these acts are these days. When me and you were sitting at the Prima, we were talking about it, and I was throwing out numbers, of what people cost, and people think, they're probably charging $5,000-$10,000. It's like now some of these people are charging $1 million a show.
That's right. I mean, Chris Stapleton wanted $1.5 million for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and that's because they go in these big city circuits, and there's enough people there to make that money. In this area, you have to draw, and that was another question I was going to ask is where do you guys think you are going to draw from? Like how far?
Well, before you
away?
do that, Chris, because we only have 3 minutes. How much are you charging for a beer?
We're shooting for $5 for a beer.
That's not
for
bad.
A regular can of beer.
For a can of beer, $5.
Yeah, $5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry to interrupt.
We're looking at if you buy.
How'd you get that?
Bundle,
That's important.
If you buy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Say that again.
Okay, that means a 6-pack is going to cost somebody $30.
Yeah. Well, what we're also doing though is we're going to do buckets. So I think the bucket price will actually get you down to $4 a beer. And I think it'll be like, you know what I mean? It'll be 5 or 6 of those for, it'll get a deal. It'll be priced at like $4. Yeah.
That's
And
definitely
then we'll
reasonable.
do buckets for some of the types of beer, like maybe Bud Light, that kind of thing, and maybe not for the other.
Listen,
types
for
that we'll have there.
for a Bud Light draft
But-
at Star Lake, it's $11.50.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Okay, for a 22-ounce can at PNC Park, it's $12.
Yeah.
A 12-ounce can at Blame My Roots at $5. Quit complaining, people. It's still a crazy discount.
Oh, and that 22-ounce beer, the last 10 ounces are warm by the time you get to it.
Yeah.
So at least you're 3 or 4 in. So yeah, it's priced right. We even dropped the single day tickets. It's cheaper to see Miranda Lambert here than it would be to see her almost anywhere else.
Right.
Same with Neil McCoy. We dropped down to $45. We're quite confident with our ticket sales and our beer sales, and I just think that we are offering something that, yeah, it's not the same as what it was, but I think there's going to be a lot of good that's going to come out of that as well. And at the end of the day, this is what we have to do. Again, this is what we have to do to bring in somebody that a headliner like a top-notch headliner like Miranda Lambert. You have to sell parking, and you have to sell beer, and you have to sell your festival merch, and you have to sell all that stuff to be able to pay for it.
That's right. Chris, I want to thank you for joining us. We're out of time, but big time thank you. We'll stay in touch. Maybe the next time I have you on the show, I'll get you down here to the oldest studio in the city of Wheeling.
That's great. That's fantastic. I appreciate it, guys.
You betcha. Chris Dutton, ladies and gentlemen, co-founder of Blame My Roots. $5 a beer, not bad, John.
No, that's extremely reasonable for what kind of show you're getting along with it. Yeah.
In that venue, buckets, get it
Yeah.
down to 4 apiece.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's
The
not bad.
days
at
of the
all.
coolers are over, people. Just get over it.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Weekly segment with Jon Banco. We call it Liner Notes. Now, on Friday, Colby Brown is a gentleman who the state police believe actually took his own life by jumping 109 feet from an overpass onto I-64. He went to 2 classes. He went to the gym to better his body. He made a date with a woman. My buddy Scott Mumper, a 27-year investigator for the federal government, will join me Friday. Excuse me. And we're going to take a look at the case. I've written 9 chapters on it. We're going to take a look at the case. We're going to review the report issued by the private investigator. We're going to talk to the mom, Gwen Wood,